join us today. My name is Sara Rieger, and I am one of two of the master naturalists that works here. We are in the John P. McGovern Children's Zoo today, and I'm going to take you somewhere that hopefully a lot of you have been, but if not, this is where the magic happens. So we're going to go into our swap shop. So why don't you guys come with me, join me in the swap shop. Come on in. So here we are. Hopefully, like I said, some of you have been here in this building. So let me tell you a little bit about the swap shop. Things are pretty quiet right now, and it's been hard for us to adjust to you not being here. Myself and the other senior naturalist, Suzanne, have been helping out in the animal areas while the zoo has been closed. But we're really hoping soon to get opened up again. So hopefully a lot of our traders are listening today. Hi guys, we really miss you. We can't wait for you to get back. But if you've never been to the swap shop before, let me tell you a little bit about it. So this is the place that we want you to come and bring cool things you find in nature. Now, I bet a lot of you have been going stir crazy in your houses, and you've been getting out to do a little bit of exploring. Maybe you have a stream near your house, or you go to the park, or even just your backyard. So this is the place when you find cool things in nature, you're gonna wanna bring them to the swap shop. So we take all different kinds of items. I'm gonna show you a couple. You bring them in here, and the things you bring in are worth points. So you're going to trade us, you're gonna swap your items, we'll assign you points, you'll get your very own trader account. And it's kind of like a savings account, so we'll give you those points, and then you can use those points to trade for things in here. So if you take a look at some of our shelves, this is kind of our bone area and our fossil area. Most of what you're seeing right now, kids have brought in. And that's one of the really cool parts of this, is that when you bring things in, you know that we're gonna put them back out on the shelves so kids can trade for them and probably appreciate them just as much as you did. So when you bring in these items, we want you to tell us about them. We want you to get excited, because you'll see how excited we are that you've had these adventures. So let me just show you a couple of things that kids brought in before, unfortunately, we had to shut down for a little while. So maybe out by your garage, you find a paper wasp nest. Make sure that it's empty, that it's abandoned. But if you go ahead and do some research about how these wasps make the nest, tell us about it. You can get extra points for that. Another cool thing is that, I don't know, most of you probably know that Texas used to be covered by water. And so someone actually found this clam fossil. And I really like fossils, so I enjoy when kids bring fossils in. So maybe if you go fossil hunting, you might find something cool like this. All right, even something as simple as a pine cone. And you might say, well, it's just a pine cone, but to us, this is super cool. Every item you bring in tells a story, and we want you to tell us that story. So I also have a snake shed. Now this is from a wild snake, and it's super cool because it's whole. You can see there's the tail at the end, and there's even the head, and you can see right there that there are the eye caps from the snake. Now a whole snake shed like this is gonna be more points than if you just find a partial shed. But you know what? Bring that in too and tell us about it, and you'll get points. Something else, we had a trader bring in a piece of wood that had a lot of lichen on it. So plants, like I showed you, you can bring in parts of animals, bones, sheds of animals that weren't intentionally killed. We also have this turtle shell. So maybe you have a pond near your house. Now, unfortunately, this turtle probably passed away, and now You see that there's no turtle left in here, that he did degrade. So you bring in this turtle shell, you explain to us about why a turtle has this shell, and talk all about it. Tell us what the different parts of the shell are. Now, if you don't know what something is, you can still bring it in. It's totally fine. Part of the fun that we have is that we get to learn right along with you. So some of the shells we'll be able to identify. This is an apple snail shell. You can actually find these on the side of a pond or a stream. There isn't a snail in here anymore. If we don't know what something is, we'll tell you. And then we have all kinds of resources and cool shell books. We can look it up with you, and then we're going to be learning together, which makes us really happy. Something else we have is a shed deer antler. So you may be out in the woods, maybe your family has some property, a deer lease, and you find sheds. Deer shed their antlers, male deer, every year. So this is a really cool find, and something like this is a lot of points. And you don't have to spend your points all at once. You can save them up and wait until you have enough points for something that you want. We have things that are as little as 5 points up to several thousand points. Now, this needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but look at this amazing gar skull. Isn't that cool? Somebody found this on the side of a lake and they brought it in. Look at those teeth. Isn't that great? So we will need to clean him up a little bit before we put him out on our shelves, but I did want to show you that because that is super, super cool. Now, some of the things that we don't take any items from birds. Birds are protected here in Texas. So you can't bring us like feathers or nests or anything like that, but you know what? You can do a project about birds. You can do a painting, you can do a poster, take photographs. You're learning about birds, you're telling us about them, so it's a win-win situation. Something else that a lot of kids do, and you know what? You're home, you are distance learning. Maybe one of your teachers has given you an assignment to do a report about nature or some kind of a project. Kids actually do bring in projects that they do, school projects. You can get points for this. Maybe while you're out exploring with your family, going on walks, maybe you're doing observations and you're taking notes about the plants and the different birds that you see. Bring in that nature book. Tell us about it. Let us see some of your drawings. You'll get points for that. So there's all kinds of cool ways for you guys to get points. So we have a lot of traders, but you know what? We're always looking for more. And if you live far away, if you're not here in Texas, there are quite a few zoos that do have swap shops. About 11 other zoos. You know what? If you don't have one at your local zoo, talk to the people at the zoo and maybe something like this can be set up. There's also nature centers that have these as well. And we think it's a really great way for you to learn, for you to get outside, maybe get away from that computer for a little bit and really enjoy nature, because that is what we're all about. So you can't bring in bird skulls like I was talking about, Clara. I see that you had a question about bird skulls. Unfortunately, bird bones kind of fit under the category of nothing from birds. So you can't bring the skull, but take a photograph or draw the skull. That would be really cool, and explain the skull. So we have a question from Jessica, and she wants to know what the points are. So, like I said, if you brought in a pine cone, you would probably get anywhere from 5 to 75 points for that pine cone. If you told us about it, you would get knowledge points. So what the points are, they are kind of what we're calling the value of the items that you bring in. And we will start adding up those points that you earned. So maybe during one trade, when you came in and you brought us 3 things at a time, we can talk about your items. We can give you those points and you can decide, okay, do I want to save those points in my account or do I want to use some of them? You could use 100 of those points, use it all. You could use 5 points, you could use 20 points. It's up to you. You have earned those points and you can do what you want to with them. If you don't use your points, now that you have an account, you'll be in our computer database. So the next time you come in, Jessica, we'll be like, okay, well, you have this many points left to either use or keep building on. So what we want you to do is, I bet a lot of our traders have been saving up cool things that they have found while they're out exploring. If you're not a trader, go ahead and start doing this and bring in so many cool things. So Katie has a question. She wants to know where the swap shop is located. You know what? A lot of people pass us right by. We're right at the entrance of the Children's Zoo, right across from the Texans Enrichment Zone. We're kind of set back a little bit. Kids are excited to go see the goats, so they pass us by. But once you come in, you might think that this is maybe one of the coolest parts of the zoo. I'm a little biased. All right, so when you are out, maybe, walking in the park or going around your neighborhood, you're probably gonna see native bugs, native birds. There are so many animals and insects and reptiles that are native to Texas, where you live. What we're gonna do now is I'm going to hand you over to one of our wonderful keepers who happens to have a couple of Texas natives here with her. So her name is Tianna, and she is going to tell you about some of our cool animals she has today.
Hi guys, so this is Half Pint. Half Pint is a prairie king snake. Like Sarah said, she is native to Texas, so you could definitely see her while you're in your backyard collecting things. She is really, really cool. She's got a really cool couple of defense mechanisms. If you don't know what defense mechanisms means, that means that it's a way to protect herself. So first of all, Half Pint here, when she gets scared or she sees a predator that she thinks might be coming towards her, she will get very flat. She will also rattle her tail. So if you guys have ever seen or heard rattlesnakes, they will shake their tail and make a very, very loud noise as a defense. She is not a rattlesnake, but she will still do that to mimic and look like a rattlesnake. She also will emit a very kind of smelly smell from her when she gets threatened, and that's also something that helps her keep away from those predators. So you guys see her right now. She's flicking her tongue out. What she's actually doing is she's actually smelling the air around her. So she's not trying to taste you. She's just smelling you. Her tongue is forked, and when she flicks it out like that, she's pulling air back into her mouth. And with that forked tongue, she can actually tell what direction you are. So she is just smelling the air and giving a good old hi. So in the wild, Half Pint eats anything from small mammals to small birds. Here at the zoo, she eats 2 mice every other week. So Trinity asked, how long is this snake? I'm not actually sure in measurements, but you can kind of tell she's a pretty long snake. She can weigh up to 3 pounds. She's actually only 1 pound. So Jamie asked, where does that smelly smell come from? So I'm not exactly sure. So if you check back in on our comments, we'll be able to tell you exactly. So Half Pint here, a lot of people ask if snakes are venomous or poisonous. Half Pint is not venomous, but the really cool thing about her is that she can eat venomous snakes, and it doesn't affect her like any other animal that would eat a venomous snake would. So the way that she hunts is she is a constrictor. So what that means is when she finds a small animal that she'd like to eat, she gives it a really, really big, tight hug, and then she eats it. So that's what a constrictor is. If you guys are just joining us, this is Half Pint. She is a prairie king snake. These guys can live up to about 24 to 23 years old. And Nico asked how old she is. So the fun thing half pint. She's actually turning 21 next week. So it's just about her birthday. So she's a little bit of an older lady, but she's still very fun, and she's got a lot of spunk to her. So we're going to go to our next animal here. This is Tex. Tex is a Texas tortoise. And so again, like Half Pint, she is found right here in Texas. So the way that you can identify Texas tortoises, they have this coloration on each one of their pieces of their shell. Each piece is called a scoot. So only Texas tortoises have this yellow coloration. She also, if you can see on the underside of her shell, right below her neck, it's quite long. That's also a feature that is unique to these Texas tortoises. So in the wild, they would be eating anything like prickly pear, cactus. So I actually brought Tex a little treat. This is a hibiscus flower, and it's something that we typically give our turtles and tortoises as a snack. It's kind of like candy for them. They really, really love it. Tex here is about 14 years old. She can live to be about 66, so she's a very young tortoise. Here at the zoo, we actually have a Texas tortoise that is 44 years old, one of our oldest animals in the children's zoo, so that's pretty neat. So you can see her having a good time with the hibiscus flower. Annie asked, is she endangered? So these guys actually are threatened, and that is because people like to take them out of the wild and make them pets, which is very bad. So that is a great question, Annie. Can she swim? Asked Alyssa. So she cannot swim. Tex is a tortoise, and she's quite heavy. So that means that in the water, she would just sink right to the bottom. The swimming ones that you see more are turtles. So if you go to a local aquarium and you see a sea turtle, they can swim, but Tex is actually a tortoise, so she cannot swim. If you guys are just joining us, this is Tex. She is a Texas tortoise. She is native here to Texas, so that means you could find her in your backyard. She's having a little snack. This is a hibiscus flower. This is pretty similar to their diet that they would eat out in the wild. You would find them eating cactus, prickly pear. Here at the zoo, she eats a salad 3 times a week, so she is a vegetarian, like some of our other animals. And you can see she's using her hand to hold that flower down, and she has very long nails on that hand. Anna Lee asked, does she bite? That's a great question. So Tex is an ambassador animal, so that means that we as her keepers work with her daily to train her, to pick her up and show her and bring her out to events so you guys can meet her. So she knows that we're her keepers, and so no, she does not bite. So like I was saying, she's kind of holding that flower down with her foot, and she's got those incredible nails. She uses those to dig. So Jessica asked, how heavy is her shell? So Tex here is only about 3 to 4 pounds. A lot of that weight is in her shell. Britton asked, why does she eat flowers? So that's a great question, Britton. So flowers are something that she would find out in the wild naturally to snack on, and she thinks they're very delicious. So it's just like eating candy. So Tex here, again, is a tortoise. A lot of people will confuse them with turtles. Turtles usually swim in the water, where tortoises are more land-dwelling. So you can kind of tell the difference between turtles and tortoises. Tortoises have more of a stumpy elephant leg, and they're very, very heavy, where turtles have more webbed fingers, and that helps them swim easily through the water. Kelly asked, does Tex have babies? No, she does not have babies. She actually lives in an enclosure with 2 of her other best friends, a red-footed tortoise and a other box turtle. So she has girlfriends she hangs out with every day, but no babies. So you can see when she moves around, a lot of people think that tortoises are very, very slow. Tex here actually moves pretty quickly for a tortoise, and she's not as slow as you think. Trini asks, are they born with shells? Yes, they are. So a lot of people think that they can come out of their shells just like a hermit crab. Their shells are actually attached to their bones, and so they are attached to that shell. So when you touch her shell just like this, she can actually feel every time you touch her. So when you come to the zoo and you see Tex and you get to touch down her shell, you will actually know that she knows that you're there. And that shell, all of those little pieces are actually made out of keratin, which is actually the same thing that your hair, skin, and nails are. So thank you guys again for coming to see our animals and our swap shop. We do have the zoo's emergency fund that Sara is going to tell you about.
All right, well that was awesome. Thank you so much, Tianna. And thank you guys for coming in. You know what? The swap shop is all about every one of you. And parents, if you were wondering, you can bring in stuff and trade too. We are all about you coming in and meeting you. And we miss all of our traders so much. You are the people that make our day. We have so many great traders that come in and spend time with us. So we appreciate so much that you came here to see us. It's pretty sad in here right now because none of you are here. So if you haven't been before, please, when you come to the zoo, join the swap shop. Bring in all your little treasures. So thank you so much for tuning in. Like Tianna said, the zoo does have an emergency fund. Most of our money comes from gate entrance, and because of what's happening right now in the world, you're all home. You're not here visiting us. And when you do come to the zoo and you buy a ticket, that actually helps save animals in the wild. And the zoo emergency fund will help us to keep going and feed our animals. And you know, we love being here, but we love it even more when you guys are here. So make sure that you join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. for our next Facebook Live. Thank you guys so very much, and hopefully we'll see you really soon. Be safe.